the July meeting of the Cemetery Commission to order at 8:30.
We're gonna have to wait till Lynn comes back. You want to do the minutes?
Did you have a chance to read the minutes and approve them? I
Numerous
can't
times.
do the
May 21st.
May 21st minutes. You guys have to approve those.
Did we do the April one? No?
No, that's the next one,
April and May, yeah.
but I can't approve that one because I wasn't there.
No, I move that we approve them.
I'll second it.
And then approval for the minutes of the April 27th meeting.
Same thing, make a motion that we approve those.
Yeah, I'll second
Second, all in favor?
Aye.
it. Aye.
Okay, you're on, buddy.
Okay, so we're gonna take it out of order.
Yep, we'll take Link first, they can go back and do what they're meant to do for the day. Instead of listening to us all day long.
Believe me, I think I'd rather be here than the next meeting.
Well, that's probably true too.
Inform them they're not late. Okay, so Cindy requested that you attend one of our meetings, so I think you got a couple questions, Cindy.
Yeah, I do. Thanks for coming, both of you, appreciate it. And by the way, I just want to say you are appreciated, Jim, and we thank you for the work you do. You are also, Link. Could you tell me exactly what is the description of a cemetery worker? What's he expected to do?
Mow and weed whack essentially, and then whatever else might come up
Yeah.
through, through Robin, or
Okay.
through other requests.
And are there any other people that work besides Jim?
There's one other full-time employee. We were unable to attract any seasonal help this year
Yeah.
for a number of reasons, notwithstanding our scale only goes to 17 an hour, and Stop and Shop's paying better than that to work in air conditioning.
That is correct.
So it's not true. We were able to get nothing for parks, cemetery, or highway. We have one facility maintenance person that's doing a co-op from Mass Maritime that works for facilities, and we have, two ball players that just, that work for the Mariners, playing the Mariners. So that's our complement of
Right.
seasonal help this year. So I've got 5 or 6 positions that are unfilled.
Right.
So,
And usually we would throw, two at cemeteries.
Okay.
is there any way, so it was usually 2 or 3 that we throw, is there any way for them to re-look at it and maybe then
I just
change the
asked
pay
that.
scale?
I had a meeting yesterday with Group A. I think you were supposed to be there. as a
Well,
matter
she
of
told
fact.
me, not,
Oh.
she canceled it for me.
Oh, okay. Well, we were there, and that was my topic, was could we look at the personnel bylaw scale and call people something else? And possibly, because there are higher scales in the 20s somewhere, and I'm not hopeful that that'll make a difference, but at least it's an effort. So I was already working with Megan on that.
Okay. Because I think it would make a tremendous amount of difference to Jim if he had somebody,
And when we have a burial, like for Steve Ford, we threw all kinds of highway people at it. When we come up for Memorial Day, we throw basically all hands on deck. Anybody that's able has got a mower or a weed whacker. So when you have special events, we could certainly step it up with a little bit of notice and throw additional resources. But absolutely, the normal day-to-day operations is very behind where we should be.
Yeah.
No argument from me on that.
And I
How
think
many-
everybody's suffering from
Yeah.
that.
How many guys really would it take to cover all the cemeteries?
Well, let me put it, I should have brought my staffing. I have a staffing
Just a
chart.
guess.
So, no, well, I was gonna step back. I have a staffing chart that goes back 25 years and shows where the town added staff.
Yeah.
We had 2 back when I first started in 1991. We had 2 in the cemeteries. At that point, I think you had 50 acres of cemeteries.
Yeah.
You have well over 100 now, and we still have 2.
Two.
Right.
So the math just doesn't work, but that's like a highway. I still have 7 people in the highway. So they look at overall, we've gone from like 25 people to like 38, but they put custodial services under us, centralized vehicle maintenance, facilities has been shored up. So we've added functions and added people, but we got additional work, and it doesn't help cemeteries, it doesn't help parks, it doesn't help highway.
Yeah.
How long does it take them usually to mow the cemeteries in weed whack?
Well, that depends
Evergreen
on
probably takes a long time in Island Pond.
Evergreen and Island Pond do take a long time. With two of us, usually we cannot complete Evergreen Cemetery in one day. It rolls over into the next day. The old section, the newer section, we can complete in probably 2/3 of the day.
Yeah,
Which
because
would
it's
be-
wide open.
That's just mowing, no weed whack.
What's your rotation for weed whacking, like every other week, or
I would like to say so, but no.
it's not?
It's very, when it gets extremely unsightly. Or if there's a burial and you go there and it's.
Ideally, if you had two seasonal people, that would be on a rotation, more like you were weed whacking every other mowing?
Again, I would say no, it's never
No.
really been that way.
Okay.
It's Memorial Day and usually once towards the end of the, summer, you know, when things, we just
throw
cemetery to
everybody at
cemetery
it.
to cemetery, mowing.
And it's gonna be really tough this July because we've never had this kind of rain ever. And I'm sure the grass is gonna be growing. It's gonna be a nightmare for him to
It's the
catch up.
third wettest on record.
I know, so,
Listening to your ex-brother-in-law this morning.
so I think it's gonna be very difficult for him to catch up once it, you know, like tomorrow starts to dry up. I mean, everything's gonna be growing.
But not all the cemeteries are got nice grass growing all the time.
No.
Like
They're-
like Island Pond, the back sections don't
All
take much
groves,
mowing.
yeah.
Yeah, those are gross. Those do get weed whacked though, right?
They get mowed and weed whacked when there's personnel to help weed whack, but mowing itself is, probably 3 or 4 times a year. It's very abusive on the equipment and the people, but we do it when it's necessary. It was just done within the past month, but it's coming back strong.
I bet it
You
is.
know, and this is not isolated. You look, as
Yeah.
you drive down the roads, anyway, you see brushes growing in everywhere. Sides of the roads aren't mowed. The town aesthetics is nowhere near where I would like them to be, and quite frankly, the cemeteries are no different than the roads.
Everything else.
And it's just a labor thing. I just lost a full-time, employee Friday who's going to Mass DOT and getting paid $7 more an hour for doing the same damn job. You know, I'm fearful that this is a trend that's coming. That
Yeah.
This is a trend that's coming because, you know, we haven't really adjusted. We've gone a couple of years without, COLAs, and the rank and file pay scale is not, comparable, where you've got landscapers paying $30 an hour for anybody with a heartbeat. You know, and these guys max out at, you know, mid-20s somewhere.
Yeah, I know all about that. I worked for the town of Brewster for 20 years at the golf department, so it's the same fight with everybody.
Yeah, and it's an unfortunate set of circumstances. We were good for a long while where we had, about 10 years, I never had to put a seasonal ad in. We had returning college students every single year, and they had friends that came in. This all changed about, I don't know, 5, 7 years ago, where all of a sudden those kids weren't coming back or done, got real jobs, and we had nobody else coming up. So the demographics, particularly on the Cape,
It's
is very
nuts.
challenging. So I wish I had better news for you and say I could had a bunch of people I could throw at the cemeteries, but it's just not the case.
Now, how close can you get to the stones with the mowers?
Depending on experience, you can get within 4 to 6 inches.
Now,
You know.
would it be beneficial to spray around those headstones, just to put a little border on them, then that should cut down the trimming a lot, and then it
That
gets
has
mown?
been discussed. I've gotten the impression that that would be frowned upon by the general public who sees spraying going on, not sure of the ingredients in said spray. So it's kind of been discussed, but never moved
If you
forward.
use that 40% or 30% vinegar,
We
I've heard
don't.
of people,
We don't have anybody with an applicator's license.
I don't think you need applicators
So-
for the vinegar.
Well, we're not
Probably
in this
do, but-
business.
yeah.
Yeah, perception, you know, quote Walt Disney, reality's negotiable, perception is not. We don't have anybody with an applicator's license, we're not gonna be seen spraying. Just,
The other thing is when we were doing the expansion at Evergreen, we had a woman who walks through the cemetery a lot, I don't know if you remember her. She wrote us so many letters telling us that we were not allowed to do any pesticide spraying in the cemetery because her children walk in there and one of her childs has a severe allergy or something to pesticides and stuff.
And-
But she
and-
wrote us many, many
Yeah,
letters.
any applications are done by
golf
mainly the golf department, but they don't even do it. They sub that stuff out. They hire all that out. So the ball fields do get fertilizer programs, and that's about the only thing I think in town that really does. So,
I was just curious about that, so.
yeah, a lot of times on the side of the roads and sidewalks and stuff, it'd be great to just go down with a herbicide. And it would cut down on, your point's well taken, it would cut down on labor, but it's not something we're in the business of doing.
And you really don't want the mowers going too close to the stones anyways. Some of them are so older and fragile, we wouldn't wanna, scar them with mower marks. It's. can
Is
be
this,
diff-
do you have a
difficult.
specific cemetery that you're looking at, or is this just a global discussion of the 100
I
plus
think,
acres you
I
got?
think months ago, I'm the new guy here, but months ago, we had this discussion over were the folks that take care of the cemeteries, were they dedicated to us? Because something had come up, we were discussing getting something done, and your guys were already task saturated as it is, and that was the start of the discussion. Are they dedicated to us?
Yeah.
Oh, I know, and then something had come up that they were gonna go take care of some town property that wasn't cemetery, and
That
Yeah.
happens.
Right. But
Honestly,
it's-
there's
it-
more people that see town buildings than the cemeteries.
well, and off-season too, Link, I mean,
Well, we use them for snow and ice
Right,
and
exactly,
other
right.
activities.
and that you have the flexibility to do that, which,
But the heat's on, the only time I can say the cemeteries look good are around Memorial Day, when we send everybody, and it's usually all hands on deck for 2 or 3 days.
yeah, and when you brought that up earlier, see, that's kind of the counter argument to the dedicated, no, they only work on cemeteries. Because there you had the flexibility to go the other direction and send highway guys into, let's make it look good.
We had
for
two, in our budget, we have two 26-week positions, the longest seasonal positions we have, which you always, I get in with the treasurer department over how long you can keep, I'm sure with the golf, you always were fighting with them over how long you can keep seasonal help. But we have two 26, allocated 26-week positions, knowing that the season is not, Memorial Day to Labor Day.
Right.
It's really six months that we're mowing grass. And I wish I could had, more people to throw at this. I really do. I don't. And I feel like my hands are tied. And, recruitment, I'm worried about even getting another full-time person who just walked out the door with our highway department. Our salary scale doesn't compete, our seasonal scale doesn't compete.
Wonder if there's any other options of how to do something, I don't know.
Yeah. Well, I think we're not the only municipality that is having
Everybody,
issues.
Yeah,
everybody's
Getting
in the
help.
same boat.
I mean, if you can make more money doing something else, why,
sweat to death.
yeah.
I've been fairly immune, this isn't just cemetery, but the DPW, my counterparts have been telling me for years, they've had open positions, full-time positions, for years, going unfilled, just haven't been able to recruit. I was like, yeah, and just blow it off. Well, I think it's finally hit home here, and, you try to treat your people well, and maybe money isn't the end all, but $7 an hour, I can't blame somebody for leaving for that.
Definitely.
I mean, particularly doing the same type of work.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
makes sense.
But if you do have, if there's a specific, what I'm saying, I guess I want to leave
Event at a
you with this.
cemetery.
If there's a specific project or a specific event or something you need cleaned up, please, have Robin contact Jim, and we'll try to throw, and we'll talk and try to throw some labor at it if we can. There's no promises, but with a little bit of warning,
Yeah.
like Steve Ford, we know Steve Ford was coming up.
Yeah.
We really wanted the place to look nice for that. And we got a new with the stump grinder
Yeah.
in advance. That came in. That was the first project we used a stump grinder on.
Yeah.
Yeah. that
So
looks pretty bad.
we do have an event that's gonna be coming up in Veterans Day. We're gonna be doing the dedication at Evergreen. So we're gonna be going out to bid to get the electrical work done soon. And then we're gonna be getting the flags placed at the circle.
When's Veterans Day?
That's November.
November 11th.
Remember
I should know that. I'm a veteran,
Yeah.
but
Yeah.
Just,
So that's our
But we
next,
don't think like that.
No,
That's-
You know,
yeah.
we were happy to do it and.
yeah, so that's our
don't need a
next
day.
big event.
Well,
So,
something like that, the heat's off meat
Yeah.
from the summer, so
Yeah.
that shouldn't be with a couple weeks' notice, we should be able to
Right.
accommodate most of your requests.
So are the cemeteries just on a schedule? for-
Yes, I have a mow list here,
Mhm.
and we're constantly bopping around, whether it be to check on a burial that's about to take place or one
Oh,
that has
okay.
taken place. Do burial flowers need to be picked up, are they unsightly and so forth? And just in travels around town, you get to see, and after years, you know what grows really slow, what
Yeah.
grows more rapidly, what ones you avoid because they're terrible, and you try and push them off a little bit if you can, you know? So a schedule, no, it really depends on the weather, but usually the big ones like Island Pond, Evergreen, Mount Pleasant, every 1.5 weeks maybe,
Mm.
maybe two.
And when stuff comes up, Robin, you coordinate?
yeah, so we have a funeral today in Island Pond
Yes.
at 1:40, so it's on the hill, so I, as soon
So
as
they
I
get enough of
know,
a notice to
yeah,
tweak
as
things.
soon as I
if-
know, I had 5 funerals on Saturday. So we had 2
Business is booming, huh?
in Mount Pleasant and 3 in
Not the
Island
business you
Pond
want
on
booming,
Saturday.
but it's,
But it's, I think people now, they're catching up on a lot of the cremation burials, and we're having the normal traditional burials.
Yeah.
Today's a traditional full body burial. We had only 1 full body burial on Saturday, and the other 3 were cremations. But I think people are constantly trying to get all of their stuff up to date now, because we have like 80-something people who have passed since last year
That
Pre-
haven't buried.
that have not been buried, that I'm waiting. So I have a list in a file, and people are like, we're gonna do ours this day, we're gonna do it. So we have probably scheduled, I think, 20 already for the end of July that are, but normally we don't have that many scheduled out. We usually get them a week in advance, but these are pretty scheduled. I have some already scheduled in August. I think I have 3 or 4 in August already scheduled, so I think people are gonna start, I think September probably is gonna be our biggest month. I think people are waiting until the crowds leave, and then they're gonna,
hopefully they'll leave.
And that would be a nightmare for you to go, we need this area done, this area done, this area
Yeah.
done, this, you'd be
Sometimes it does
whack,
happen that way.
whack-a-mole.
Yeah.
There are
right.
multiple scheduled
Right.
in a week, and
Right.
with 2 people, you start Evergreen, which may take a day and a quarter, and then I get notice that there's one in
Right.
Island Pond,
Sure,
which was
yeah.
next on your schedule, but you're already halfway through Evergreen, so, yeah, I mean, it does happen more often than I would like.
so I just think it's something that it's gonna increase every year. We're gonna have more and more deaths every year because our population is aging. We have more and more cemetery space. I doubled my cemetery lots from last year in lot sales. So I think, people are saying, well, I'm gonna get cremated, I'm not getting buried. They say that in other towns, but I've never sold so many lots. I mean, I think we took in over $70,000.
The meeting yesterday was about starting budget discussions, and I'll put in for another cemetery worker. I have not, I've had other priorities. I really think facility maintenance, we should hire an electrician, quite frankly. And that's been more of a priority, but right now, I guess, I know Jim's overwhelmed.
Yeah,
I haven't been able to throw any labor at him. I can ask. That's all I can do.
that's all you can do. We appreciate that try.
Yeah.
Would it be appropriate for us to put a letter that
Yeah,
goes
well,
with
as we
this,
get
or-
into the process a
Right.
little more, yes, I think it would actually help to have a letter of support from you. But this is just preliminary for the administrator to be able to speak articulately to the board of what he sees in the pipe. This isn't submitting our budget.
Right.
Sure.
This is just a quick look, what I think he's doing is a quick look at the budget overall, so then he can better articulate what the challenges might be to the board going forward. So I wasn't anticipating asking, because this is, people are really hard to come by in the town.
Right.
But I will take a go at this. I know Jim's been asking every single year, can we? And it hasn't been where the priority has been. It's been disposal, and then I wanted to go on facilities, but Sean hasn't said anything to to me lately, so we'll make this one recency tendency. Yes.
Very good.
Yeah, well, we appreciate that.
Yeah.
Do you have a problem with, me? I was gonna say anybody, but it's me. I put in 50 hours going to a couple of cemeteries, digging up yucca lilies that were lifting up stones
Yeah, those
and
are horrible plants.
trees that, yeah,
Can't get rid of them.
and trees that were growing up, lifting stones and stuff like that, and cutting out around, memorials so that you could see them and stuff. And left a mess for Jim, unfortunately, because I don't have a truck to clean it up with.
That,
But
any
thank you
help,
again,
I think Jim will say he appreciates any bit of help. I don't wanna
Yeah.
speak for the
She put
man,
in
but.
quite an effort, a lot of times I was cussing, cause I was prepared to mow, and I'm like, what is this pile?
But I mean, it saves labor, any bit of help.
Yeah.
Yeah, picking up a pile is certainly preferable to having to, do the
Yeah,
work.
dig
that
it
you don't
out.
have time
Well,
for.
that, I know that keeps him from doing his mowing, but it's like, I'm trying to kind of help out too, because I know that, he's shorthanded, and trying to make things look good. I mean, we're putting in new signs and stuff like that. I want people to have a good opinion of the cemetery department again. I've been away for a couple weeks, you probably noticed
I
that.
noticed them in the photos, yeah.
I'll
And it's
try to
memory.
do a lot better, but anyway, I just want to make sure you don't have a problem with me doing that.
No, I would think any bit of volunteer work would help.
Okay. Yeah, I think pretty much I've already answered most of my questions and stuff. But it seems, if the cemetery department hires and pays Jim, it seems like he should be working for us completely. Where else do you need him? I mean, don't get me wrong, I'm thinking that you've got a lot of guys for highway, which you may not, and you got just Jim and maybe one other guy.
We get 7 guys in the highway.
Yeah.
Sounds like you have them. Well, you got 2 on a street sweeper, 1 on the beach cleaner, 1 on a catch basin cleaner. Okay,
Yeah.
that leaves 3. Now, if nobody's on vacation, you got 3 to do
Okay.
potholes, there's roadside mowing,
Yeah.
brushing back. The math doesn't work.
Yeah.
So
I
do we
really
use do we use Jim for other things in
Yes.
Redley? Yeah, yes, we do. We try to leave them in the cemeteries, particularly during the 6 months the grass is growing.
Right.
But you come out ahead, particularly, at Memorial Day. We shut everything else down just to do the
I get it.
cemeteries. If you have special, needs with a little bit of warning, we could probably emulate that for a day or two, here and there. But as far as the labor equation,
There's just not enough people.
there's just not enough people. That's exactly it. And does he have enough maintenance keep him going through the winter? No, we use them in the highway.
Yeah.
We use both of them in the highway. Once the grass stops growing, they do some, correct me if I'm wrong, you do some brushing and
Yes.
some cleaning up, but then it's mainly working for the highway,
Yeah.
snow and ice and,
Yeah, storm damage, trees
Yeah.
come down, branches come down, and so forth.
yeah. So it's odds and ends in the cemetery, but yeah, he is working for
Yeah.
the highway, no
Right.
bones about it, probably 5 months out of the year, primarily.
I was just curious, because I don't know. Thank you for answering that.
Yeah, no, I think his routine is at the end of the season, do all the maintenance on the machines, and then show up and say, boo, what
Yeah.
do you want, what do you need from me?
Right.
Is how it goes. I need to get to the
Yeah,
department head meeting.
Thank you.
We
Yeah.
appreciate your time and
Yep,
Very
thank you
much.
for coming.
I wish I had better answers
I'll
for
see
you,
you later,
sincerely, I wish I had more people to throw at the problem, but I will ask in the budget,
to see what happens.
if they ask for any they call the additional people,
Oh,
EOSs, elevation of service.
At least it gives them a title.
Thank you, Link.
Okay.
thank you, thank you,
Thanks,
Jim.
Lane.
Okay,
Thank you. Have a fun
Appreciate
day.
it.
yep,
Thank you.
too.
Okay.
all right. So I put in the regular reports that are generated by Wendy Tulloch, who is in the accounting department. And then I printed my own because I know you like that one better. So if you go to the end of the Excel spreadsheet, we took in $69,865 in our perpetual care account, or well, our cemetery revolving really. And then we expended $47,230.66. And our end of the year balance is $94,700 6/15/62. So, also, I was informed by Carolyn that they're gonna be starting to use the playroom again, and that's where Ashley keeps that's her workstation and stuff like that. Ashley's last day is next Wednesday, and she'll be, going back, but we have been awarded a new person that will be coming on. So, I went to, the same new desk that I got, I wanna get an exchange, so I can put that computer that's in that room on the other side of my desk, on a little exchange, and I think it was it was under $300, so I might have to, can I have, would you guys approve me to get that little desk in there?
Yeah, absolutely.
Okay,
I
so-
move that we approve that. That's
Anybody
necessary.
second it?
I'll second it.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
So be it.
We'll all miss Ashley.
Oh, yeah, very much so, yeah. Are
She
we
was great.
Doing anything for her?
I think we should. So, maybe we'll talk off camera so she doesn't hear.
Good idea.
Go away.
Robin, excuse me, of this balance, is there any that we don't have to give this back to anyone? Or
No, that's our revolving account.
Just making sure.
Yeah, and so we do have a lot of expenditures that are coming up this year. Remember, we
Right.
went out to bid to get the paving
Sure.
redone in Mount Pleasant and in Island Pond. A lot of the streets are being lifted up from the tree root system.
Right.
So, Chris Nickerson was working on getting proposals. They'll also be paving the front entrance and, where we, straightened out the roadway. So I think a lot of it's gonna be eaten up with that. I kinda still, wanna do, some beautification to the other side of Mount Pleasant when you come in from the golf course side. We have those lots that are on the end, and, maybe we'll at some point go down. When we tour that, you guys can take a look at it and think what
We
we
can
gotta
do that
I
after the
wouldn't
next
mind doing a, little wall that, like, when you come in, there's a site right as you come in on the right-hand side, and it's kind of, sloping. We could put a little bit of a wall, kinda like we did at Evergreen, and it could say Mount Pleasant, or it could say, something else, but, and then we could do some plantings there, just to make it a little bit more welcoming, because when you come in from that side, I don't think it's,
That's pretty bare.
it's pretty bare. Yeah. So something like that would be great, but, I mean, there's, 94,000 goes pretty quickly, especially when you're paving, so I don't think it's gonna be that high very long.
Right.
But,
And we have to, the software also is gonna come out of that, right?
no, the software already, that, money, they already pulled that out of there, and that's in another account, cause they pulled it out
Okay,
last
that's
year when
right.
we,
Thank you.
went out to bid. So, we do have a bid in here for them, more software, and I saw the demonstration of the, when they has a photograph at, the homepage, at marcelinearboretum.org. It comes in and it shows you starting almost from past Tommy Bluth's, but it shows you zooming into the entrance, and it's, all done with his drone footage. He's meeting Ashley out at the cemetery tomorrow to go over all of our, prominent individuals that are buried there. So obviously Jimmy Marceline, like Marie Marcotte, we've got Marcus, yeah, right. And then we have, I think there's probably about 50 different people that were in the list of tours. One of them actually is, and I don't think people really know this about Robert Auer. Robert Auer, when he was 13 years old, was fishing with a gentleman, and the guy had a heart attack, and he had to pilot the boat, and he just turned 13 like the day before or something, all the way out in the middle of the ocean, all the way through, and get in to the harbor. Unfortunately, when the guy got into the harbor, he had been dead for 3 hours. But anyways, there's a lot of interesting stories about a lot of individuals that people don't know about. And I when I found the stories that were in the newspaper, even some of the hours didn't know about it. So, but there's a lot of great stories in the cemetery, and we just want to share them with people. So Each person who's buried in the cemetery will be able to have a memorial page and with different memories, and that's one of the memories we're gonna be putting on Robert Hours, so I think that is,
That's cool.
yeah, it is pretty cool.
He was a very generous, kind man.
Yeah.
And he's been in town a long time.
Yeah, yeah.
A long time.
So, I mean, there's a lot of different, there's a lot of women in literature and musicians and stuff like that buried in the cemetery, so very exciting about that project.
And then we get the Arts in the Arboretum.
So, I did get a phone call from Joe and Megan last week, and they said that they had a meeting with Michael McCaskill, and that he expressed that he did not want, or they were concerned about having music playing in the cemetery, even though it's violins and stuff like that. So they wanted me to cancel it, and they said we could revisit this later at another time. But for right now, we're canceling it until they can review the whole thing. So I just wanted to let you know. It's a little bummed, and a couple of the artists that had drawn the leaves that were looking forward to that said, "Well, just keep us on the list, and if you redo it, we'll, bring it back."
Okay. We have the letter from Bonnie Milberg on uses of her cemetery, but we got Cape Cod embroidery stuck in the middle of that.
So hers is first. Hers is here, and then that was it. Yeah.
Using both sides of the
Yeah.
paper.
Yeah, I'm trying to not kill so many trees.
Thank you.
Double-sided. So she just, when people want family members to use certain lots or certain grave spaces in their lots, they usually send me a letter stating that they're giving the use of one of their cemetery spaces to whoever. So I get letters like this a lot. It's just an informal letter for their file. So when I get any correspondence, I'd like to put them in the packet.
Okay. So that happens a lot then.
It happens at least once a month, maybe twice a month. People that are doing, a lot of people are pre-planning now. I think they've seen so much stuff on TV, and they're concerned that, not everyone lives forever, so there's been a lot of pre-planning going on.
And you don't have to do any documentation for change of ownership or?
No, we never changed the ownership. If we did that, we'd be doing change of ownership all the time. We wouldn't be able to keep up with that. Once you buy a cemetery lot, people only inherit rights of burial. They don't inherit the lot. They inherit rights of burial. So the owner is always the owner. So Steve's bought a lot, even though when Steve and his wife have passed on, the kids have rights of inheritance and they can be buried there, but the lot still is Steve's. So
Problems also go for, unfortunately, families don't always agree.
right.
Do families say, this is only these people can be buried here? If so-and-so requests to be buried here, I do not want them.
So yes, we get those. I get those conversations a lot. So if somebody buys a lot, say your father buys a lot, and he has 3 daughters, unless he writes in his will
Okay,
that only Elizabeth gets the lot,
right.
then all 3 of you have an equal share. You each will inherit an equal share. And no other sibling can say that somebody cannot be buried there.
Right.
Only the lot owner could have excluded somebody. So, yeah,
Okay.
I get those conversations more, surprisingly more than you think.
So does it have to be written in a will, or can they send you a letter that
They can
states
send me a letter.
as well?
Yeah, they could send a letter as
Thank
well.
you.
Yeah.
Gonna exclude somebody?
I don't plan to do it, but I've been asked about that. How do I do this? Let me check to be sure.
So Cape Cod Embroidery is working on getting us T-shirts for our events. So when we have an event,
Okay.
so they're gonna say Cemetery Commission, and then it'll have the town logo on it. So just like if we go to the Veterans Day
Right.
services, we're gonna have T-shirts and then the jackets. The T-shirts are gonna be covered under one of my budget items, which is we have clothing allowance, so that will be that. And then the jackets, we're gonna be waiting for the jackets, which will be, they're on back order apparently because they can't get any, everything's on back order. So as soon as those come in, I'll let you know.
And they're very busy.
They
I
are.
stopped in the other day to do something,
Yeah.
and he goes, "Hey, chance you can come back in August?" Okay.
Yeah. It's been crazy busy for him. And he's just trying to catch up. And they do a lot, I think, teams, sports, summer teams, and they have all the fall teams for all of the schools they do as well, so
He
those
was having
orders are gonna.
Employment problems too.
Oh, yeah, he is having an
Yeah.
employment problem, he's
Yeah.
trying to hire people as well.
And next, an email from Phoebe Plank.
Yeah, so Phoebe is one of the people who works at AmeriCorps. And we have been, I just have to update one more line in the application. She wants us to outline a plan on how the cemetery department will maintain projects completed by the members after they leave the individual placement. So one of the parts on the website that is being created by the web development company is going to be a volunteer engagement tab on the site so that we can have people sign up to be volunteers in different areas of the arboretum. Like some people might want to help with watering, some people might help with trimming, or we have a whole bunch of master gardeners who have asked to volunteer, as well as we have some of the kids from the Cape Cod Regional Technical that are horticultural students. So I'm going to be making her sending her a draft letter probably by the end of tomorrow, stating the different people who will be maintaining the projects after they're completed. So we'll have the trail system that's connecting where the rock is now, which we'll be designing that with our brand new AmeriCorps worker, I guess they're called, AmeriCorps member. And then the trail system that goes down, so we have to maintain that, or the vegetation will keep growing up. So they're concerned that if they create these things with us once, that then they
There's
won't
no
be
maintenance
maintained.
Yeah.
So I have to just update our application on that, and it's good to go, but we're gonna have someone in, I think it's Wednesdays and Thursdays.
Yeah, that's what it says.
Tuesdays and Wednesdays,
Great.
so, which is very exciting.
Now, actually, she only works 2 days a week, right?
Yeah, she works Tuesdays and Wednesdays as well, right now, currently. So the days that but then I get to put in for projects. So if I need a whole group of them, like 8 or 10 of them, to come in and do something, like we had them remove the Japanese knotweed in Island Pond, we had them do the trimming of all the shrubs in Evergreen, that are in those rows in the older part of Evergreen. And then we had them limb up all of the trees in the new section of Evergreen on another day. And then we had them do a lot of trim and invasive species removal in Pine Grove. So they will work in other cemeteries, we just have to put in orders for them to do different projects. So I'm gonna have to make, when we're touring the cemeteries and making our wish lists of maintenance projects, I can submit those at any point for next year, which next year actually starts in September, so it's not really that far off. So we want to get those in as soon as we can, so that we do want them to take part in our annual tree tour and, any other events that we have. I think we should do a Memorial Day event too, with at one of the cemeteries, and it doesn't have to be at Evergreen, but like that scavenger hunt thing that we had. So even if they meet us at one of the cemeteries, they can go and do that somewhere else. There wasn't hardly any events this Memorial Day, and it was kind of.
Yeah, have the selectmen heard about that, or are they gonna go like, this is out of line? A scavenger hunt?
No,
I mean,
it's not a scavenger
I
hunt,
get
it's
it,
to
I
find,
know,
yeah.
it's going to find veterans, et cetera, I
Right,
get
right.
that. But I mean, are they gonna go, what are you doing, like,
No,
They've
they've
heard of
actually,
it.
they put that in their packet,
good,
so they've seen it, we've done it for 3 years.
okay,
But we haven't had it as an event, people usually get to go on their own,
right,
but it would be nice if we met with, even if we did it with the school and had the school kids come before Memorial Day and show them, this is what a different veteran's gravesite looks like, this is the difference in the military markers, the uprights compared to the, and the different wars. I just think it would be informative, and I think a lot of kids don't go to cemeteries and don't pay respects,
Yeah.
and I want them to still be proud
sure.
of all of our veterans who have served us.
That would be awesome to do with the Boy Scouts especially.
Yeah, that would be.
because Unfortunately, we have some that, they go through and they try to do everything and replace the flags, but then they got a few left over, so they stick them in the ground. And unfortunately, when they stick them in the ground, they tend to swell up because they get damp. And
Yeah.
then they don't fit in the old holders.
Yeah,
So we have to use them elsewhere. But, I mean, that's not a big deal. But if they saw the actual markers in the, you know, what they look like,
right,
I've been telling John this for years, you really should get them to, you know, have an evening or whatever to inform them what is and what isn't.
right,
There are others, of course, I can't think off the top of my head now.
the Odd Fellows have flag
Yeah.
hold, like, you could put flag holders in them, and some other groups, but they're not
Right,
military
exactly.
medallion
They look like it, but they're not.
flag holders, but they're not. So sometimes when they go through, they put flags in
Right,
every flag holder, but they're not veterans.
right.
Yeah.
That'd be good, thanks.
Then an email from Johnny Seeley.
Yeah, Joni. So Joni is the administrative secretary over at the DPW, and while I was on vacation, a woman had come home and found her husband who had passed away. So they needed to sell her a lot in Pine Grove. Pine Grove isn't really mapped out correctly, and we inherited that. I did have the map here in my office, so I came from my house to here, and I brought the map to the DPW for them to sell the lady a cemetery space and for the guys to mark it out and do the burial. Unfortunately, it didn't go so smoothly. And Richie Berube had met with the woman that night, and she forgot her checkbook, which happens quite frequently. People, they're just a little distraught when they someone in their family passes away. But he didn't flag it out. He forgot to bring flags, and he had somebody else flag it the next day. It was the wrong cemetery lot, wrong space. The grave digger dug that, and they had to call back. We had to have the new grave dug right before the services. They called me back and forth on the phone several times.
This
and-
was when you were on vacation?
Yes. But anyways, and then we incurred a,
That's gonna be an other business.
yeah.
Yeah,
So then we incurred an additional fee for the digging of the second burial space, which was $950, which Kim Berube had sent to me, because they sent the bill to the DPW and asked us if we could pay it. I did talk to Joe and Megan, and they both said that Link's department would have to pay for that, because it was their mistake and that we shouldn't be paying for it. So it was a long process. I think people just don't, I mean, no one is trained to do my job. That's the problem. And every time that I go on vacation,
just closing my mouth.
so I just think that somebody needs to be specifically trained to do my job. If either I'm on vacation, or, you know, something could happen to me
Right.
tomorrow. Or what if something happens to me tomorrow and then I'm just not here, no longer at this job. And nobody knows how to do the job, so.
Well, again, we need an assistant administrator. It's,
So I did ask them when I went to, and I spoke to Megan, I said, you know, originally we asked for, you know, a part-time temporary, not temporary, a part-time employee. I said, at this point, I would take someone 5 hours a week. I just need somebody to know my job. So,
And they can cover,
right, when
Yeah,
you're
really
on
good
vacation,
business.
they're full-time,
yeah,
and the rest of the year, they're whatever you think you need to
Right.
pick up
right,
what overloads you.
right. So I mean, anything from, I haven't filed in weeks, so I mean, there's just stuff that needs to be done in my office, and there is, you know, I'd like to write more grants and work on other stuff, but I just don't have time to write any grants, because I have to do end of the year fiscal stuff, I have to do next year's budget, I'm working on new CPC articles,
Yeah.
closing out up to current CPC articles, so it's a lot for one person, and there's a lot of burials coming up,
so then would we as a board have to come up with a letter requesting a part-time position or help, or?
Well, I think that the next time that we have the budget things, I think maybe we need to draft something to, the reason why that we feel that,
Well, I think that should start, and that's just my opinion, I think that should start with Robin's duties as outlined in your contract or whatever. But then the reality of if you went, for lack of a better phrase, hardcore union
Yeah.
and said, oh, these are just my jobs, this is what I'm being paid for, I'm
Yeah.
only gonna do that. And then the ship just founders out in the water because there's so much else that has to be done
Right,
that really is not written into your contract, but is
Right.
part of your job.
Do
But,
we have a job description?
yes.
yeah, but I don't think that includes all of the other
Steps.
things that happen
Right.
day
So-
to day.
And the other thing is all the other cemetery administrators that have my job, they get paid overtime. So I worked 11 hours on my vacation, which I will not get paid for. But I worked, this past week, I worked an additional 7 hours. I worked 5 alone on Saturday, which I do not get paid
Well,
for.
but which would you rather have,
I would,
a body or overtime?
I would want a body if I could get a body. If I could have somebody else do that for me, I would
See,
prefer
and
that.
that is very telling. I mean,
Yeah.
having managed, that is very telling that it's not, give me the money.
Yeah,
It's, we got stuff that has to get done and I'm
Right.
not Superwoman. I
Right.
can't get
And
it
it's
done.
like the DPW, there's just nobody around, but we gotta
Right.
try to.
Right.
But see, I think a position like that would be fillable. Some of it can be from home.
right. I mean, they could come in when they wanted to during the week. So, I mean, if they only could do
Right.
2 hours a day here and there, that would be good too. Anyways, let's,
Well, wait, before we leave this, should a proposal be started before we end up in the budget time frame and we're like scrambling to get this done?
we could, but I'm supposed to be at an department meeting.
I don't mean today, I don't mean right now.
Yeah.
I'm just,
Yeah.
At some point, we'll get together and start to,
Well, we have a meeting in 2 weeks. Do you want me to get together my job description and all that stuff for the
I
next
think,
meeting?
you know, your yellow pads, I think you need to have one of those on your desk. And when you do something, you
Right.
need to go, I had to do this, I did
Okay.
this, I did this.
All right.
And now we have a month of evidence,
Okay,
statistical evidence to go, this is typical, and this is what
Right.
we're paying Robin for, and this is why. And now put her on vacation, which she is certainly authorized
yes.
and expected to
earns.
take
Yes.
for her own sanity.
Well, it's like
How are
the
we gonna
golf
do
course,
this?
we all had job descriptions, we all did other things, but we know that the people at town hall have no idea what we do on a daily basis.
Right.
Yeah,
True.
They just know that things are getting done and things happen, and we'll see if we can alleviate some of the misinformation and get you some help.
You should also make note, especially of the wrong grave being marked out. That incident
right,
as one of the reasons why somebody needs to be trained in
Right.
exactly what you do and how to do it.
right. It's true.
I mean,
It could, if the burial went off into the wrong place, that could have been a
no,
big problem.
oh.
Yeah.
If that digger hit the wrong spot,
Yeah,
it could have been ugly.
right,
Yeah.
right. So, okay. We'll work on that.
Yes. And then from Allison Miller,
Yeah, so I have a whole bunch of upcoming burials that are going on different lots, and so I get these survey things pretty, every time almost I do a burial. So I don't really put these in normally, but I just wanna let you know that. So what happens is, it'll come in the morning and she'll say, we're gonna be doing a burial in July, I need the lot layout, can you go and survey the lot, make me an image, send it to me, so that we can pick which spot my grandmother's going into, or whatever. So I get these a lot, so that's something I should be writing down, because I do these, and I have to then go from here down to Mount Pleasant, survey the lot, write it down, measure everything. If it needs to be probed, then I gotta put a work order in with Jim, then Jim has to go out there and make sure, cause sometimes they place the stone on the grave space, and it could be a year or two afterwards, and they put it not above where the actual grave is, so we want him to find out where the actual, vault is. So then that's another survey, and then I'll go back and finalize it, and then I send it off to the people so that they know, where their lot is. We do have a lot of cemetery space, so there's a lot of stuff going on. in all the cemeteries.
We have Ellen Turco.
So, we had so many responses to the Pine Grove Gravestone Cemetery project. Theirs did not come in time, so we're not allowed to open it because it has to be opened at the same time. So it was sent to me, I forwarded it on to Megan so she knew, and she did receive it after the bid date. I have no idea what they bid, because we don't open them. But the bids that came in were exceptionally good. That's later in the packet, so it's the next, so we'll skip over the link, but, so I'll just tell you. So the historic gravestone services came in at $72,000. The Gravestone Conservation Inc. came in at $57,890, and then the Village Green Restoration came in at $42,000, which I
It's a big difference.
was so skeptical of his price. So I went back and I made sure that they all had the same certifications and that they provided me with all the documentation. And then I went back and checked all of Michael Gallagher's. So this is the breakdown sheet. I just think that these are so much clearer than the sheets that they have me do for the town hall. So it just shows you the different breakdowns, and then it shows the request of the services, and then all the contacts for each of the 3 people that we received bidders for. So Michael Gallagher from Village Green, I called all of his references, and every single one of them had glowing things to say about him. In the packet, which you guys did not receive because it's this thick.
It was emailed to us, I think.
Yeah, it was, I think it was 57 pages alone on just their information, but I'll give you a list of some of his references, because they were quite good.
So if this gentleman's company works out, that we could use him for the East Harwich one?
Yes,
If we get-
correct.
if it
So
goes
I,
that far?
so I think the problem being is that nobody put any gravestone preservation articles in last year at their town meetings, because they all had condensed town meetings. So we were lucky that we had this one in from the year before that just didn't didn't make it through the process yet. And I think we had altogether 10 different people request a packet for this. He is in East Falmouth, so he doesn't have to pay to stay here. So I think a lot of the people that were even bidding on it, so this lady that's from Historic Gravestone Services, she is probably one of the best conservators around. She came in at 72, which is roughly, we got appropriated 75, which is probably right on the money. But she would have to stay here, and that was part of the stuff that we bid in the document, because we thought people would have to stay and work here. You know what I mean? They can't. A lot of these companies are from Connecticut or New Hampshire, but Michael's from Falmouth, so he can drive here each day. So he has done Cedarville Cemetery, which is in Sandwich, and one of his references is from the Sandwich Historical Society. He did them in Concord, Massachusetts, New Bedford, Massachusetts, Lexington, Massachusetts, Sagamore, the town of Northborough, Canton, and then Arlington. So I called every single one of his references because I was so skeptical about the price. And every single one of them was telling me how awesome his work was. He's been a conservator for over 20 years. I think this is a brand new company.
So the overhead is still low.
Yeah, so he's the president of this brand new company that's only been in existence for 2 years. But he has been a conservator for 20 years, and he is their president, so he will be doing the work. I talked to him and on the phone and via email. He's very excited about getting this license, and I think it's going to be awesome. I think the CPC is going to be very happy that we're saving them like $30,000.
Yeah.
So I think it's a good. It's going to be a good
It might be a
thing.
really good find for all this stuff.
Oh yeah, I think it's going to be excellent.
Because the North Harwich Cemetery's got some stuff falling over there. When you drive out and take a left,
Yes.
they're all leaning.
So that's
forward.
one of our. gonna be another one of our year projects. So each year I try to do a cemetery.
Yeah, that needs rails too.
So that being said, I also got when I talked to Joe and Megan on the phone, they wanted to know more about what went wrong with the East Harwich Union Cemetery, why it didn't move forward, and what could we do to get this article moving forward potentially for next year. I said, well, the CPC themselves was just really concerned about getting a grant agreement between the church and the town, so that if somebody gets hurt on the property, who is liable? And they just were trying to make sure that the town was not on the hook for any liability of anything that would happen.
Doesn't the contractor staff show up with a whole insurance packet before they even get awarded the project?
That is correct. But, so anyway, so I did include, Joe told me that I should reach out to John Giorgio, who is our legal counsel for the town. Before, remember, we tried to do that before, and we were precluded from any interaction with him, but they want us to move forward with at least finding out. So I said, and we're really not, we kind of do want to know what the Acts of 1948, Chapter 220, 277, states in regards to we took their perpetual care. And by them giving us their perpetual care and telling us that we were gonna maintain it forever, we should be maintaining it forever. I think what the chapter states, and I'm not an attorney, so I can say that clearly, I am not. Well, by reading it, it looks like they were turning over the care of their cemetery to the cemetery department. Quite a few of the other cemeteries that were listed in this list, later, we actually did an eminent domain taking of their property. We did not do this on this parcel, but we did it on the South Harwich Meeting House, we did it on the Eldridge Cemetery, which is on Queen Anne Road, which is a parcel that this church also owned, but we did an eminent domain taking on that one. So that one is transferred into the ownership of the town. South Harwich
What's the church's?
Meeting House was, Island Pond was, so all of these ones that are all listed in this act that had a title transfer are at the Barnstable Registry of Deeds. There was no title transfer with this. But we did take their money and told them we were going to take care of it, and it was passed at town meeting, so I feel we should be maintaining it, and those stones are very valuable as far as historic content of the town, and I think that we should continually pursue it. And I mean, it's your decision, you are the board, but he's gonna come, John Giorgio's gonna send us back a quote on how much he thinks the legal cost would be to figure out this mess. So we're just waiting for him to give us that quote. Probably have it by the next meeting, and then you guys can decide whether you wanna move forward with getting a firm legal opinion on it. I don't know why we just can't get a grant agreement, but
Yeah.
we'll see what the attorney has to say, because
So the
I don't
church-
wanna, yeah,
Excuse me, the church owns the property for sure. That's
well, no,
documented or no?
no. So that's the thing that John Giorgio wants to look at. He said the title is clouded, and I said, well, and he said, much like the Harwich Center Cemetery, and I don't wanna go down that road. So I said, I just wanna know,
Right.
can we work on there? We have been maintaining it since 1949, mowing it every single year, doing all sorts of projects there every single year. We do all the tree work, we do everything there. And this is just another project that we wanna do to maintain the monuments. So what is, what should the grant agreement look like, and how can we move forward? Or can we not move forward? So either way, I wanna know.
And is there documentation that says Union Cemetery anywhere?
Yes, there is. So I have that in my office. I give you a whole
Okay.
copy of that.
I'm just curious because I have always been a member of that church
Yeah.
and never heard it called that.
So it's
And
always,
the elders, several of the elders that I've talked to go, no.
Yeah, so that is documents from their
Right.
historic,
Strange that they don't, it's strange that they don't call it that, I
Right.
think. But it is what it is.
yeah. Well, they're historic people who gave me all of the grave records from there, are the ones who gave me that. So they're
Who's that?
historian. So I'll get you the documents.
thank you.
I didn't bring it with me, or
No
we can
problem.
put it in the next packet if you want. I'll put it in the next packet, so then the general public will have it
Thank
as
you.
well. Okay, so, CPC?
We get upcoming events,
Um,
or was it you were asking about the portable toilets, but we don't
no, we're gonna,
need that anymore.
we're not, that's not happening. But, at some point, I do want toilets, probably. It'd be nice to see if we could get a restroom at some of the cemetery, Evergreen in Island Pond. We have people, like I had a funeral in Mount Pleasant on Saturday that went really long, and there was an elderly woman there, and she was like, I need to go to the bathroom, and I'm like, there's no bath. Well, the building was locked, but I can only imagine what that bathroom looks like.
Oh, Lord.
So, I told her she could go to, down to the Harwich port.
Oh, the schoolhouse parking lot.
Yeah. And, but that happens more frequently than you think. So there's, sometimes the funeral directors get there with me, we're there for 2 or 3 hours at a time, before, during, and after, waiting for the burial to be completely filled in, and there's no way to go to the bathroom anywhere, so, I mean, we should think about that at some point. Some places have ones that lock. That's kinda like the one just in like Brooks Park. And if we're gonna be having more events, I mean, you just open them in the morning and lock them at night.
Well, they just built that one by the tennis courts, so we could get there should be fresh numbers.
Yeah,
Probably
So
from,
just-
probably
just-
from Link, he probably did.
yeah, so there's just something to think
Or
about
the
for,
rec department.
yeah, for future,
Yeah.
okay? So I did, I'm going to the CPC on Thursday night. They have an informational meeting about articles. They do it like once every couple of years, and they invited everyone who normally applies for CPC articles just to go and hear the updated information about the community preservation and what each bucket can be used for, whether it's recreation, historical, housing, or whatever. So I'm gonna be going to that on Thursday. I sent this email to them because I just like to give them an update on how our articles are doing and where they're proceeding. So we have article number 32 from 2020, which was Pine Grove, and you guys, we just went over that. So they're awarding, we gave the award to the Village Green Restoration, Inc. And then we have article number 29 of 2021, which is the Veterans Memorial Circle, which we got appropriated $48,385 to install flags, lighting, related electrical. So that's what I wanted to talk to you guys about today. So in the application itself, Harmon Electric gave us the original price quotes. It was $26,146.17. The majority of that, believe it or not, is trenching. They have to trench from the entrance, the new entrance, all the way up to where the flags will be lit.
Then go into the drive.
Yeah. So, yeah, and go under the roadway. So that I wanna be put out to bid by the end of next week, and, get 3 or 4 different vendors to bid on that. We might be able to get that down a little bit. As well as the flags. So we originally went to Hamco. They do the majority of military flag installations. So they are called Cape Cod Flagpole, but they are Hamco flags, and I think they're in Yarmouth or something like that.
These are all US made products?
Yes.
Had to
Believe
ask
they
that,
are.
huh?
I just want to get that on the record.
So it's $17,838 is the cost for that, for the flagpoles and the flags. So I'll be going out to bid on that as well. I just want to get the ball rolling. The money got allocated to us on July 1st, and I'd like to get it done as soon as possible. I also did talk to Paul Sweetser about, possibly getting us I'm gonna meet him on Thursday morning to, look at the circle, to figure out how many bricks would be able to be placed in there if we were selling bricks. I went to the, city of Waltham, and they have, this is what they do on their remembrance circle. So I printed out, and this is how their bricks are placed. So every 2 rows are placed like that, and every, in between is like, kinda like a border row. And this is what their circle looks like.
I like that.
So they're American
Cause
flags.
we're gonna
in
do
them.
the benches too like that, right?
Yeah, so then their benches are all around them.
Yes, yeah, I really like that look,
Yeah.
yeah.
And so this is kind of a close-up. So they have the border that is this border.
Granite.
Granite,
The granite is where the flag poles are placed, the branches ones. So it has the center circle, which then has a ring of granite, then all of the bricks, then a ring of granite again, which the additional flag poles, the branches are placed, and then more bricks, and then it cleans it up with another granite.
And then
It's,
then the benches are on the outside of the whole circle,
the benches are on the final granite band.
okay. I like what's
So it's a very clean look. I think, I've already had many people ask me, they wanna buy bricks, so this is, we already set up the account with the treasurer's office. So this is just, I mean, I could probably almost duplicate their form. I mean, when I create something new, then this works. So it just is a whole form that they can fill out.
can we do a website or?
If we can, yeah, we can definitely do a website
I
with
mean,
this.
As opposed to a Facebook type thing.
Right, we
Yeah.
can put it on the town website too.
Yeah,
So, we can, I'll work on all of this information, maybe make a draft for the next meeting, but I wanna move forward with,
really wanna work on this, you
Yeah,
wanna work, yeah.
okay. So I think that, Paul, you want Paul to do it the same, similar, right?
I really like that, but
I-
I've already used up my time talking about that the other day, so.
Yeah, so I think this is a cleaner
Yes,
look, and it gives a lot of space for people. They can bring the electrical service right up to the center
and
of
there's,
this.
those are lights
Those are
Yeah.
lights in
shining
there.
it.
Yeah,
Yeah, that would be nice. Okay, and
And-
do you want me to meet you up there on Thursday morning too?
yes,
Okay.
yeah. So then that way, there's no other, something for somebody to kick or break
It's
or,
all flat.
it's
should
all
be
flat, flush in
Easy
there.
maintenance,
Yeah. Okay,
I like that.
Great.
it's gonna be beautiful. And then I did talk to him about the Walk of Remembrance,
Oh, yeah.
and, he thought that was an unbelievable idea.
Is that paved? How do we leave that?
So I
we're
think
Stone?
The bricks?
I think we should do bricks again, just to make it uniformed. We could do bricks in the center and then have it flanked with the granite on the outside or something, like a gray on the outside, but bricks on the inside, just to keep it the
Can I
same.
borrow your pen real
Oh,
quick?
sure.
No, this is not for TV, but, you know, if you have your winding walkway,
Yeah,
and then since it's a walk of remembrance, you have significant events on a timeline.
right,
Of course, you gotta leave some room, cause, you know.
continually
Right,
growing.
and then you have your, you know, your, any purchased bricks and
Right.
stuff, but, you know, you start with, very first one could be the founding of Harwich, 16, whatever, I've
Yeah,
forgotten,
yeah.
you know, and
And
then
each war, or,
Revolutionary War, Civil War, yada, yada,
Yeah,
yada,
yeah,
as we work our way.
then you can put the bricks in between the sections.
Yeah,
pertaining to
additional,
that
additional bricks,
conflict.
you know. I don't know,
So
it's
the
just-
bricks go down like just like out front. They put all the bricks down and then they
pull
engrave them. They'll pull it out and put it in
Right.
the engraved one. So they just swap them out as they do it. So they do it out here all the time.
Right.
So I think it's, cause my CPC article will be due the end of October for next year, which will be the 2 memorials, which will be the Civil War and Revolutionary War, which I'm just finishing up the draft. So on here it says, next year's expected articles, I wrote the East Harwich Gravestone Conservation, we're waiting legal opinion, and what we need to proceed a grant agreement. And then I wrote phase 2, the Veterans Memorials at Evergreen, Revolutionary War and Civil War memorials will be finalized, the names will be placed, and requesting price quotes on the cost of the memorials. So I'll go out and get a couple price quotes on that, because it could be varied.
Don't you need your list then?
I'm almost done
Oh.
with the list. So the list I've been compiling, and I'm cross-referencing, and I'm just waiting to hear back from, the DAR on a couple things. So, and then I'm gonna try to check with, there's a couple other people that tried to do it before, and I just wanna verify with them what names they had to make sure I didn't miss any. And we probably should put in 2 in blank spaces for now on each one, just not names, but count letters for that, just in case there's a couple more that we
Or you could,
missed.
if it's a wall, you could leave yourself
Yeah, space.
rows
At the bottom.
for the emergency, hey, you forgot so-and-so.
Right.
Like, well,
Yeah.
weren't listed anywhere, sorry. Yeah.
Yeah. So I mean, we've been that's been going pretty well. I'm pretty excited about that part. So I think that'll be great, and I'm looking forward to finishing that up. That would be awesome. So
We need to sign bills.
yes, we have new deeds. We have for Mrs. Kucha Stone, who is the one who's had the burial in Pine Grove. We have Stephen Kim's exchange in new deed, which, do you have a,
I do.
okay,
Oh, wait a minute. It's black.
I wanna use blue.
You want blue?
There. And then we have Richard and Colleen Roby purchased 2 grave spaces in Island Pond. All right, and then we have just a couple of bills. We have Web Services of America, that's the web design company that has been working on the website for the Arboretum. The bill's $4,875, which I should have them come in and do. So they are doing, the additional work that they did this past week was they inserted a veterans page. So they have searchable veterans, so you can say, give me all the Revolutionary War veterans, give me all the Korean veterans, give me, so they just added that to the database, and they did a whole bunch of videos. So they videoed every street and every side road in the cemetery. So that's finished. Ashley is meeting out tomorrow to do all of the prominent residents. So they'll be tying those together, and it should be good to go by the end of the month, the whole website. So I gave them some language last week to put on the cover page, and I need that, I gotta get a copy of that, and I gotta still sign it. Stealing
You
the
tried.
deed.
You
Stealing
tried.
the
I know
deed.
you did. I know you did.
And then we have, this is for the cleanup warrant, we had a bill for Eversource for June, $10.11. We had Seaside Arborists who came in and removed some more trees in Island Pond that were falling, $1,700. And then Blue Flax Design, Blue Flax Design is removing the Japanese knotweed in Island Pond, so they will be they're cutting it down and removing it from the property, and they've already done 2 treatments of that, and then they do something else, and then they end up eradicating. I don't know what they're.
Hopefully, I think they're gonna dig deep to get that stuff out.
Yeah, so they've been over there quite a bit. So that bill was $617.50. So the cleanup warrant has to be submitted by the 16th.
Who's that one?
So Steve, I will notarize these, and I'll make sure you get your copy back.
I know you will. Bob tried.
Yeah, and just for the record, the bees love Japanese knotweed, so I'm just saying.
Yeah, that stuff is crazy.
Oh.
It's like the last thing that blooms going into the dearth, and then there's nothing for the bees
Oh.
on Cape Cod until.
And then on next month, should we put something in there that we can start,
Rules and regulations?
rules and regulations?
Yeah, and we still have inspections, tours that we have to.
Yeah.
That we can do, you and I did Evergreen.
Yes, Evergreen is done, and Island Pond is done.
Oh, I'm sorry.
Then we got,
Actually, we all started Evergreen, and
Yeah.
you and I just finished it up.
So I think we should go to Mount Pleasant, because we wanna look at possibly changing the entrance, yeah.
okay,
So,
And maybe do a tour of Mount Pleasant on the next one.
Mount Pleasant is pretty small, we could go to Mount Pleasant and Kelly. Kelly's
Yeah.
tiny.
Okay, we can do
So
that.
and this is in 2 weeks?
Yes.
Come on,
August,
Sharon.
is it August,
I'm not sure what date is most days.
is it the third?
See, retirement's great, isn't it?
It's fabulous.
It's like,
I have
what?
no
Do you know what?
Robin called me and said, you have a meeting tomorrow. I'm like, what? Oh, yeah, okay, I'll be there. All right, so we're doing this when? Yeah, I don't have it down.
Is it August, what's the
Is
first
it August?
Tuesday?
August 3rd?
That's what I thought.
I don't have that down, so
Yeah, so August 3rd. I
it's the
gotta,
next meeting,
yeah, and it'll be in this room,
okay. Followed by a tour.
followed by a tour.
Yeah.
And stay 8:30 again?
Yes, because they don't come in to record till 8:30. That's what time all the other employees get in. So, do I have an emotion to adjourn? It's 9:47.
So moved.
Yes,
You
I
made
can.
the motion? All right. We're done.
And Cindy. All right, I think we just leave because it's gonna keep recording.
You know, I just had a brainstorm after the fact
Well, I
about,
think if the meeting's concluded, so I think we should leave.